What's up, guys? Dr. Sean with The Active Life here, and today we're going to be talking to you about how you can do a better job building out accessory programs for your athletes. We're going to help you guys do a better job reducing injury. We're going to help you guys do a better job building your athletes up to their maximum capacity. And we're going to help you gain some confidence in making decisions about what you should and should not be programming for them. So the way we're going to do that is I'm going to reveal this for you in a few minutes after we go through this kind of stuff, because I think that this is stuff that we can cover that you're aware of already. This is stuff that's going to be brand new to you, but it's still good for you to clean up and recognize what you're doing so that you can be mindful of what you're doing well and what you're not doing well. Okay? This guy right here, this represents our squatter. The form in a squat is going to be where the torso is as vertical as possible, the knees are going to be out slightly past the toes, and the hips are going to be below the crease of the knee. The variations there within are going to be based on your joints health, your limb lengths, your mobility, your strength. Those things are going to change, but the idea is to build out this form as best as possible in terms of strength, stamina, durability, power, all of those things. You guys know that though. When you're building out a program, what you're thinking about is 5 things. Give or take a little bit here and there, the way you interpret them. Bear with me here, I think most of you guys would agree. We consider volume. Volume is how much of this are we going to do? Do we want to do this, for 6 sets of 5, for 6 sets of 20? That's your volume. We're thinking about how many reps in a setting are we doing? What's your amount of force that you're going to be moving or work that you're going to be doing over the period of time in that day? Intensity. That's going to be, what's the weight? How fast are you moving? We're thinking about, are we training really heavy? Are we training for endurance or stamina? That's what's going to mostly vary your intensity. We look at frequency. Frequency is going to be how many times during the week are we going to do this, right? When you build out your program, ideally you guys are thinking about microcycles, mesocycles, and macrocycles. The idea being that you have what you're going to do in a week, what you're going to do in a month, and what you're going to do over the course of 8 to 12 weeks. All of those things should be playing into each other because you want to build something that is fairly linear if you're really looking to build a single athlete out. Something you guys, again, either already know or just learned. Either way, good. Consistency is different than frequency, because consistency, we're looking at an athlete over the course of a year. If you think that someone's going to come to you and you're going to make a change for them in a month or 2 or 3, and they're going to be this phenomenal new athlete, you're going into it with the wrong mindset. Assume the person coming to you is going to be with you for at least a year, and then plan for the year. I'm not saying to write out every single workout for the year, but you need to know that you have time. Because if you don't have time, you're going to try to rush results, and rushing results never works. So consistency becomes a question of how many times are we going to go through these cycles throughout the year. That's what consistency is going to represent here. And then pivots. And I think that pivots are probably, believe it or not, the most important thing on here. Pivots is, I wrote out that you're going to hit 96% for 2 reps for 7 sets today. But 96% isn't going anywhere. So we need to reconsider what we're doing because it's not fitting the needs of the program. It's not fitting the needs for the athlete. That's a pivot. That's a smart change to the program to better fit our needs. Now we look at building a hinge. We're going to look at the same 5 things. We look at volumes. So again, how many reps are we going to be doing? We look at intensity. How heavy are those reps going to be? How fast are those reps going to be? We look at frequency. How many days during the week are we going to be doing these reps? Consistency. How many times throughout the year are we going to build out one of these cycles? And then pivoting. You might give me, for example, to do my deadlifts at a given weight, but you see my back go from being a really, really nice flat spine that I'm braced in to a rounded cat camel that I'm jackhammering up. It's your duty, coach, to change what you plan for that day. It's your duty to pivot. You know that though, right? You're doing that. And the difference between building out your hinge and building out your squat is very clear to you. Because the things that we need to have strong in order for your torso to travel over the front of your knee, for your knee to stay behind your toe, is going to be different than the needs to get your torso as vertical as possible and your knee to travel out over your toe. The mobility requirements are going to be different. The strength requirements are going to be different. The postural stamina requirements are going to be different. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. So you're very cognizant of that when you say, I'm going to program this specifically and linearly to grow somebody out to be really good at it. You're cognizant of that when you build out this here, this form. Now let's talk about what it looks like when you're doing your accessory work. And I use the word accessory work because it's the word that you guys use. It's the word that you're used to hearing. It's the word that coaches throw around all the time. Oh, don't forget about your accessory work. It's so important. But is it so important? Right? Is it important to do your accessory work? I want you guys, before I take this paper off of here, I want you guys to make that decision for yourselves. I want you to either nod in your chair, yeah, accessory work is important, or shake your head, no, it's not that important. And then ask yourself why. Why was the answer yes, it was important, or no, it wasn't? Now, here's the problem. That's how I think most of you are designing your accessory work. I don't know. Instead of looking at volumes, we have random volume, right? Oh, today we're going to do this. Last week we did this. One thing has nothing to do with the other. And it's okay, guys. Think about it. I'm not asking you to be great today. I'm asking you to try to make steps to become great. So if you're doing accessory work in your gym, let's say, for example, some strict pressing, did you build that out for 12 weeks the same way you did a squat program? Or did you just say, oh, we're going to build in some pressing today? It's random intensities. Oh, guys, grab a weight that feels moderate. What does that mean? Would you ever tell the gym, guys, go grab a barbell today? I know we squatted last week at 82%. This week I just want you to grab a weight that feels like about, I don't know, 85, 86%. That should be pretty moderate. You don't do that. Be precise. Sometimes, yeah, it's okay to work up to a heavy 3, heavy 5, whatever. But be precise here with specificity the same way you guys are over here. Frequency. How many days per week are we going to build this movement? Let's pretend we're talking about scapular control, for example, because that's a real big one that people do a lot of accessory work with, right? You grab your bands, whatever, right? You're doing our work, high pulls, presses, holds, whatever it is. Great. Let's be consistently frequent with it. Let's know how many reps we're going to do, how many days per week we're going to do them, how many weeks we're going to do that for, and how many months we're going to do that for. And then let's have some consistency that we're aware of so that over the course of a year, we know what it should look like. That will give us the opportunity to pivot. If you guys do something randomly here and there, you're not going to know if it's working. You're not going to know if that irritation that somebody is suffering when they're doing it is actually a problem, or if it's going to go away as they get better at it because you just randomly threw it against the wall. You don't have an opportunity to pivot. You need to, everything that we're talking about, all of this is so that you can effectively pivot. Because pivoting is where you're going to make the change that the athlete needs in order to get the progress that the athlete wants and deserves, and you deserve. So a little bit of hard truth here, guys. 2.5 years ago, Jeremy and I looked at this, right? We were both owners of CrossFit gyms. We were both treating CrossFit clients, patients, and we said, what's missing? Why are all of these CrossFitters, why are all of these fitness athletes, right? It's not even just CrossFitters. I shouldn't speak that way. It's all athletes. Why are all of these athletes getting hurt? You can't solve all injury. But what we found was coaches have a really good time building these out. They do it well, maybe even better than we do it. You're reading the books. You're listening to the podcasts. You're reading the articles, right? You're learning how to do these things extremely well. You're efficient. You can build somebody's hinge, no questions asked. But when I ask you how to build shoulder control, a lot of you I don't even think could define that. And that's okay. It's a problem you're facing right now, but it's a problem you don't have to face in the future. And that's what we're talking about, right? 5 clients about 2.5 years ago is where we started. Since then, we've satisfied over 5,000. And that's not bragging. I'm pointing out to you guys that those clients, those 5,000 clients, they didn't fall off trees. They came from your gyms. They came from your client rosters. They came from your referrals. And that's responsible, guys. We appreciate that, and we commend you on being vulnerable enough to make that recommendation. But the candid truth is largely we're replaceable. We're replaceable by you. If you start learning this material, if you start spending more time watching our YouTube videos with a pen and paper, I'm not talking about watching our YouTube videos, having them play in the background while you guys do something else. If you watch our YouTube videos with a pen and paper, if you start listening to the podcast, right? The interview podcasts are cool, and there's a lot to learn there. But the even number podcasts, the ones that come out on Thursdays, those podcasts are all about this, for this, and for this. If you start listening to those with a pen and paper and start taking action based on the stuff that you guys are learning, you don't have to pay us a dime to learn how to be really good at this. If you guys want to get great at this, we have programs for it. We have people in our coach program who went from sending us 10, 15, 20 clients every quarter to sending us 1 or 2, the trouble cases. And we get on a Skype call with them. We get on a conference call and we talk it through, because now we're speaking the same language. Now we can help with all of these things as it applies to this. So what I'm imploring you guys to do, as ridiculous and crazy as this sounds, I'm imploring you guys to use us so that you can eventually replace us. We want to spend all of our time helping you help your clients, help your patients, help your friends. We don't want to spend all of our time fixing the problems that you're smart enough to fix yourself. You just don't know what you don't know yet. Closing this thing up, guys, you think about volume, you think about intensity, you think about frequency, consistency, and pivots to build this, because you know what it looks like. You think about volume, intensity, frequency, consistency, and pivots to build this, because you know what it looks like. With rare exception, you're not planning when it comes to this. And that's, in my opinion, where it gets the name accessory. You don't wear the same earrings every night. They're an accessory, right? You don't wear a weight belt every time you lift. It's an accessory piece of equipment. So this stuff, because you call it accessory, becomes accessory. It's okay. You don't need it. If you go into training and programming with that mindset, we're going to keep on satisfying your clients. It's not what I want to do. We want to help you so you can do it for them. Change your mindset.